welcome back. I have the InArt Joker here once again, and I've had a couple of days to get used to the body and play around with the poses and all that, the hair, the eyes, and today will just be a bit more of a comparison with the other figures I have in my collection, just to see how he scales up next to other figures from different companies. And as well, I want to touch on maybe a bit of nervousness people have with the magnetic base. Thus far, I've had no problems. I feel it might need to be touched on a bit more, just how to display this safely with the base. Obviously, if you're going to do more out there poses, it's probably the best to not use this base, as this is all you could pretty much do. So that's probably a great start off there. If you want to do more poses that involve his legs being manipulated any more than this, it's probably best to get, the regular bases behind here, like the Hot Toys ones. And also just a quick update with how I'm going to do my reviews and so forth involving figures, customizations. I'm going to do it in this format where you see the collection behind me instead of what used to be behind my head now, which is just a curtain. I feel this is better so you can see at least what I have behind me. And then eventually by the end of this month, I'll be having mochi cases up here with horror stuff primarily. So you'll get a nice display of the shit I have behind me. But yeah, we'll pretty much get into the comparisons now. So if you guys do enjoy this, make sure you like and sub, and we'll get right into it. We'll start with the more obvious here. We got the DX19 by Hot Toys. And for some reason, the more and more I see the DX19 as the days go past, the more I start to fall out of love with this figure. I think it's just because Hot Toys burnt their own bridge by releasing that brand new MMS one so quickly. And obviously having the InArt one next to this doesn't really help the likeness, because I feel the likeness was never really there in my opinion. And especially with that really wide open look for the cowl, I was never really in love with the look of this. I think from the neck down it looks really good. Even though this one was supposed to be Dark Knight Rises going by the base, the gloves exposed like that is from the Dark Knight. So I don't know what's really going on there. But I think these two partnered up like this, regardless of my opinions of the figure's quality, I still think this is really, really good. And I am generally excited to see what InArt have installed for this version of Bale. I think it's a given that we're going to get a Bale eventually, considering they've done a Heath. It will be a massive miss for InArt not to capitalize and make a Bale for a really good companion piece for this. And then just looking at the height difference, the base, they're both elevated. There's a little bit of a difference between the two. Maybe an inch or so, give or take. So I think if you put them off the base and have them just standing flat on the desk, I think that would be roughly the same height, which is pretty accurate. For people that don't know, Bale is running at 6 foot, 6'1", while Heath was 6'2", I believe. So Heath was actually the taller one of the duo here. But I can pass it off because you know, Bale's heavily armored here. He's got massive boots and, you know, the big ears on the cowl will kind of level out the height. So again, I think they run pretty fine. But yeah, going back to what I said with the likeness, I really think InArt nailed this. And when you do put these two side by side, it just, this mouth plate in particular just loses all kinds of like detail and texturing. I think the unmasked head sculpt looks better as a Christian Bale likeness compared to the face plates. I mean, if you were to like chop the mouth off the full head sculpt and pop it on this, I think you would get a better Bale likeness. I don't know, I think it's too smooth. I don't know, there's something weird about this one. This is a unique and interesting comparison here because you have the movie adaptation and the inspired by comic version here, which is the Lee Bermejo Joker. And side by side, you can see the influence Chris Nolan and the team had. Also Heath to an extent to this version of the comic. There was a bit of debate whether this was the original version or was Heath's portrayal the original version of this look. And going by my knowledge, Lee Bermejo done concept designs of this particular looking Joker in 2003 with the scarred up cheek mimicking the smile. So it's 100% Lee Bermejo's design. And yeah, you can see they just play off each other really, really well. And this is such an iconic looking Joker as well, the Lee Bermejo one. Such a gruesome comic as well. If you guys haven't read it, make sure you give it a read. It's generally an interesting side to Joker. This is actually what I would have preferred for Joaquin Phoenix's sequel, to have something play out similar to this version. So for people that don't know this version of Joker, he's basically in Arkham and a copycat character tries to help him out of prison, and Joker pretty much kills him at the end. So that guy helped him escape all for nothing pretty much. And I think this will be, that was my preferred choice for Joaquin's sequel. You know, have a copycat Joker, William Dafoe, maybe. Help Joaquin out of prison, and then at the end of that movie, Joaquin regains the throne. But, you know, I'm still interested to see how that one goes with Gaga. And the whole musical element, I'm not really upset about. Joker's always had a bit of theatricality to him anyway. But yeah, if you got a Joker shrine like myself, this will not look bad if you pop them next to each other, considering they're pretty much similar concept. I could not skip out on doing this comparison. obviously the DX8 Hot Toys Jack Nicholson Joker, next to InArt's Heath Ledger Joker. I have a lot of figures that I consider my favourite, but I think these two right here, as of right now, yeah, these are my favourite in the collection by far. Two of my favourite live action portrayals of Joker. I always have a debate in my head which one I prefer, and I usually just end the result and saying Mark Hamill, just to avoid which one out of these two I overall like. But man, that DX08 is still holding up. Such an amazing piece from Hot Toys. I can only imagine what they could do today if they wanted to re-mold this and reproduce this once again. I mean, to be fair, it's perfect. I think the only thing they should consider redoing is maybe the rolly eyes if a remake is on the horizon. Of course, if you know the history of Nicholson and his likeness rights, I would say that's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. So I think your only chance to get one is to get the DX8 or to get the various third parties floating around, which are pretty much just recasts of this one. And I actually can't wait for that 2.0 Keating Batman. I've never owned any of the Keating Hot Toy figures, and to be honest, I was really nervous in buying the old ones, just because the rubber material has, from what I've seen, not held up the best. But I do have some plans in the future with that Keating one to do a diorama style piece. Some people might call me a madman when I eventually get that Keating piece, because I'll just give a hint and it involves a shitload of battle damage. So yeah, look out for that in the future for that Keating. So we finish up here with one of the most iconic poses in the film. Probably the most haunting and scariest Bale looked in that film. I'll pop the reference up now. Just because you can't see his eyes in that shot makes him 100 times more scarier than he was in that movie. You know, I feel Bale lost the scare factor after Begins. But this scene here kind of gave me reminiscence of what he was in Begins. But yeah, overall, this is a great set. Such a great way to step into the 1/6 scale universe with a double pack rooted hair. And I can't wait to see what else they have installed, pretty much. Like I said before, my Moji cases most likely will be here in another month. I'm pretty sure the end of this month, they might send the email out. And most of the horror stuff on the bottom there are going to transfer up there. And I will definitely show... I won't show the building process, but I'll show me installing them up. And they'll basically run up the same height where the two Ripleys are up there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure you like and sub. And I'll see you in the next one.